Hello everyone, Santier here, and welcome to my life and channel update video for It Is Definitely Summer in July of 2025. That's my way of saying it's been too hot as far as I'm concerned, but that's neither here nor there. So, this month has seen a lot of different things going on. I've just been reviewing them, and no particular order. The summer anime season has definitely started up, and I have been enjoying it on Crunchyroll. Shows that have been particularly standing out to me, in no particular order. Lord of Mysteries, which is actually Chinese, with slightly longer episodes. I don't really know why that is. They've usually been about 12 minutes longer than the average anime episode usually is, so they've been about 35 minutes on average as opposed to about 24. I don't really know why that is, but I have been enjoying that one. It's got a very interesting aesthetic and vibe. And it's kind of approaching things in a rather interesting way. It's kind of more of a Victorian-styled setting as well. It does technically kind of fall into an Isekai type of genre, but it's got a Victorian-styled setting, and it has a bit of a different flair. So I have been enjoying that one. The Water Magician, I have been enjoying a lot as well. More of a slower-paced one, but I've been enjoying that one a lot. Another one that I was surprised by, actually, is Ugly Mug Epic Fighter, which its premise didn't sound super promising to me, but I thought I'd give it a try. And it turns out like the character dynamics are really sweet. I've really been enjoying how those have been playing out. So I'm not necessarily going to go into a whole lot of details on any of these, but if you read the description of Ugly Mug and it doesn't sound like it's going to be great, maybe give it a little bit of a try. You might be surprised. And then another one, actually, that's stood out quite a bit to me is anime often has extremely long names that are basically just the high concept for the show as the title. So this one is Apocalypse Bringer Minagra World Conquest Starts. I have it written down here, but it's so freaking long, it's cutting off. World Conquest starts with the Civilization of Ruin, I believe, is the title. This is an isekai that's really interesting to me because, so, to give some context for those who are maybe not super familiar with isekai, this is like otherworldly stories. For more of a Western take on it, the Chronicles of Narnia actually has some isekai elements in it, particularly the famous line, The Witch in the Wardrobe, is very much so. There's basically like three rough categories of isekai that I would say. There's a portal type where you have some sort of portal that takes you to another world, because isekai just means another world, right? And so like this is actually pretty rare from the ones that I've watched, but The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is that sort of portal where you go through a portal into another world with the wardrobe. So that's an example of an isekai type. The more common ones tend to be either reincarnation, and there's a couple of different modes of this, where either somebody is reborn in the world as a baby, or they basically die and then they get reborn in another world, right? So either as a baby, or they're basically like given a new body that they are now inhabiting in the world. This could also be seen as like the sort of like accidental isekai experience. And then there's summons, where people intentionally get drawn into another world through some sort of summoning process. So this, for example, has like the idea of like a hero summoning tends to be the core concept here, where an individual or a group of individuals get summoned into another world to be heroes for whatever reason is contrived by that particular story. So Apocalypse Bringer Minagra, so something else that's really important to understand is a lot of these isekai are, I guess there's technically also like another variant of reincarnation is like you end up as in a game world as the game character, functionally. So Overlord and Log Horizon are examples of that. So but that's very similar to a variety of the reincarnation. What you have with a lot of those, though, is that they are basically bringing the character into kind of almost an action RPG sort of setup. If they're going for any sort of game-like elements, it's usually kind of more RPG or like MMORPG, action RPG, kind of in that vein. Like Overlord is literally, and Log Horizon are both. This was an MMO, and now people are like playing their avatars in this world that they have ended up in, right? And what's so interesting to me about Apocalypse Bringer is instead of going after an RPG, it's going after like an RTS or a 4X game, so like these civilization building games. So it's going after a different genre of game entirely that's being inspired by, basically. And so it has a very different feel to it. Now, it's not uncommon. That's not entirely true. The sentence that I was about to say. But I've definitely seen anime that go into civilization building, that have isekai that do that. So that time I reincarnated as a slime absolutely goes into nation building, but it doesn't start there, right? It's not like that's where it starts. It's not what's based on. It's just something that kind of happens. And then there's also how the realist hero rebuilt a kingdom on the brink of ruin or something like that. I forget the exact name. It's been a while since I've watched that one. But that one also very much so is like, oh, we're building up a nation, right? So it has a sort of nation building thing going on, kind of at its core. So there's definitely been some isekai that like emphasize that element. It's not necessarily the most predominant one, but going into those politics. I guess you also have The Rise of the Shield Hero, which that has a new season on as well. I have been watching that some, but I've not been keeping up with it as much. I have been enjoying it. But Apocalypse Bringer Monogra, which I'm probably not pronouncing correctly, but whatever, very much so is explicitly like an RTS or a 4X game where the focus is on building up a nation. And so I think that's really interesting, and that's a very different take, and that's something that I've been enjoying. And like I mentioned, Rise of the Shield Hero, whatever the new season's number is, 3, I think. I have been watching that. I need to catch up on that one, but I've been enjoying that reasonably well. And then Dan to Dan, I also need to catch up on, but I mean, I enjoyed the season 1 of that. Kaiju number 8 as well. So there's been a bunch that I've been watching. There's been some that I've been kind of falling off of as well, but I feel like the summer season has been pretty good and better than the spring season. So I have been enjoying that. So that's one of the things that I've been doing. I've also been just scanning over things. I've been, working on a couple of smaller side projects. I have the game that I've been working on, the RPG that I've been working on, but that's not my main focus right now. I also have I've been using for playing music on my computer, a program that I wrote for myself, C# and Fmod. That's what I use for that. So, like, I wanted to be able to have the feature set that I wanted to have, which mostly had to do with global hotkeys. So, like, the pause break key is just mapped to pause play, right? Toggling that on and off as an example. And there's several others that I have. Holding down Control Shift Alt and then the arrow keys will raise and lower volume, for example, and then Control Shift Alt and then page up and page down will advance through songs or go backwards or whatever. So I have some global hotkeys that I have set up because that's one of the big things that I wanted. But there's other features that I found myself wanting in a couple of very key places. So I've been working on, like, at some point in time I started working on a successor to it, and then I stopped working on it for a while and I've started working on that again. So I've been kind of slowly plugging away at that as well. Probably the biggest project, though, that I've been working on lately is working on writing a fiction book. So that's where I've been putting a lot of my focus. Excuse me. I've been having a lot of phlegm that's been, like, not the problems that I was having in the spring, but it's been, like, accumulating in my vocal cords and causing my throat irritation and stuff when I talk. So anyway, progress has been going well on that book, though. I've been doing a lot of writing on it. Heavily inspired stylistically by the So I'm a Spider, So What series, which I do have all 16 light novels of that now. Big thanks to my sister who got them for me. That you can't see them because they're on the Lego set behind me is sitting on the bookshelf that they're in, and I'm not going to pull them all out right now or anything. But they are there, and I've been reading, like, rereading through them, and it's been really interesting to go back through the series, having already read through the series and being able to understand how things fit together, or even where like things maybe were retconned a little bit. I do think that Okinababa, the author, made some choices early on that were then sort of adjusted later on. So yeah, that's just how it goes, But stylistically, the series is written from first-person perspectives where people are basically like sharing their thoughts. And that style really resonated with me. It's something that I've really enjoyed about it, the book series. And so I've been kind of adopting that sort of style. And there's some other world-building things that like were a launching off point, but I mean, I'm taking things in a very different direction, a very different approach than what So I'm a Spider, So What does. But it's definitely like So I'm a Spider, So What is like one of my favorite stories at this point in time. Like there's all sorts of things I could critique about it. Like the structure is very wonky at times in terms of like the order in which things are told and all that sort of stuff. But the overall story and world building stuff I think is really interesting, and I've been really enjoying it. So I've been really enjoying rereading it, and I'm on book 12 of 16 right now. So I am interested or thinking about beginning to check out That Time I Reincarnated as a Slime light novels, incidentally. So I am thinking about looking into those and seeing how those go and where that series goes. I know that there's another movie and season to the anime that have been announced, and I've really enjoyed the anime. I did a partial rewatch of it, and then I finished the rewatch actually during this past month. But I would like to see how that one is written. And like one of the other things too is like there's obviously the process of adaptation that changes things about the story. Like I got into So I'm a Spider, So What from the anime as well. Like a friend recommended it to me, and I watched it and I really liked it, and like, oh, the world building towards the end, especially as they reveal more stuff, is doing really interesting things. So I wanted to know more, and then there wasn't more anime being announced. I'm like, and a whole chain of events saw me read the light novels and really like them. But there's obviously a lot of stuff that got changed in the adaptation process. So that makes me curious about how things were changed in the adaptation process for That Time I Reincarnated as a Slime as well. So where was I? Yes, that's definitely been my biggest project. I did finish, just changing gears dramatically, I did get credits in Elden Ring Night Rain. But I'd like to do more. I haven't been playing as much as I would theoretically like, but I would like to do more of the character stories. I haven't finished all of those, and I would like to do that. The game is fun. I've been enjoying it. Part of it is lately, I've been spending a lot of time with Guild Wars 2 because of the Return to the Secrets of the Obscure event, because I want the Mystic Coins and amalgamated gemstone bonuses as well. But the Mystic Coins from the dailies have been particularly appealing to me, so I've been spending a lot of time with like the convergences and stuff with that. And let me tell you, it's playing the Outer Nyos convergence like every day for 2 weeks or whatever it's been has really made me appreciate some of the things that they did with Mount Balrior to try to make that more replay friendly. Because Mount Balrior, like, the bosses feel like they're a bit more distinct in how they play, but even more than that, the lead up feels like it's more flexible. Like, they randomize the events instead of having the same patterns play out every time. So, like, in the Outer Nyos one, you're doing the same pattern every time, right? But in Mount Balrior, there's different random events that happen, which kind of change things up a little bit. And you also can pick which part of the map you're going to do stuff with the thumper thingies, tectonic thumpers. And so that difference also means that you can spend time in different parts of the map if you want, which is kind of nice. But overall, I mean, I've overall enjoyed the event and doing stuff in those maps again, but the convergences of honestly, the thing that I'm most excited about not doing them every day anymore for the event is the fact that they're so highly scheduled. Like, it's every 3 hours, and that makes it really awkward to try to figure out when to time doing it. I've been doing them at the 6:30 p.m. my time slot, but that like interferes with meal times and other stuff, and it's kind of inconvenient. So, I am looking forward to that no longer being a consideration, even though I have appreciated the rewards and stuff from doing so. And then also this month, I watched the new Superman movie, the one James Gunn did, and I quite enjoyed it overall. It felt like a breath of fresh air in terms of some of the superhero stuff, and I think James Gunn knows what he's doing. I think Zack Snyder makes some interesting movies artistically, but he's not the sort of person to handle a mainstream IP. I just don't think his sensibilities are right for it. I think he's great for music videos. I think he has the right sensibilities for that sort of thing. And I watched Sucker Punch, and it was a ride, very interesting experience. But anyway, that's enough on that. Anything else that I want to mention? I did one stream. Hooray me. I do want to be doing more streams, quite honestly. But I've been very bad at actually scheduling, like fitting them into my life. And figuring out how to make that happen. Part of it is I need to just accept, like, you know, an hour-long stream as being perfectly reasonable, and not think I need to have like 2 or 3 hours for it. But like, I want to finish this Unlock All Skills playthrough, and then I want to do a playthrough of Middle Earth: Shadow of War, because I'd like to do that, because that game's awesome and I like it, and I want to replay it on stream, because I replayed Shadow of Mordor on stream years ago now. But you know, I want to replay Shadow of War too. And then I want to do a playthrough of Guild Wars 2 where I turn off the mini-map. Because one of the problems with Guild Wars 2 is you spend all of your time navigating by the mini-map, and then you don't actually learn the maps. And I want to actually learn the maps, you know? So, anyway. I've ranted about that before, I think. Yeah, I think that covers a lot of stuff. I'll just talk briefly about Magic the Gathering. Speaking of superhero things, their Universes Beyond tie-ins and everything have really futzed with their marketing schedule. People on Blue Sky have been saying, like, why are you previewing Spider-Man and Avatar: The Last Airbender when we haven't even had Edge of Eternities come out yet? And it's because Comic-Con, you know, they need to align with the greater marketing ecosystem for these sorts of things, because they're trying to where people who are into those properties but not into Magic might be paying attention, right? That's their goal. But I definitely feel it. I'm like, slow down, please. I mean, I started playing back when it was like 10th edition was the most recent core set. I mean, it was when Lauren came out. So like, we'd get a core set every 2 years. They had to figure out what they were doing to fill in the other year. So like, they had Cold Snap, for example, and then they did the Lorwyn, Morningtide, Shadowmoor, Eventide thing to fill in 4 sets a year. But there was 4 sets a year. That was like it. Excuse me. No, I'm not going to edit that out, because that would take... I don't like editing. So anyway, I would like to go back to 4 sets a year, please and thank you. But that's not the world we live in, so whatever. But it does feel like the previous set barely has time to come out before the next one's getting announced. Of course, Final Fantasy sold so well that you can't even find it. It's the problem of not being able to keep up print ones. So anyway, at this point in time, I haven't actually played Edge of Eternities yet. I don't know how I'm going to actually feel about it when I play it, but I'll be going to a pre-release for it. My local game store does a pre-release on the weekend and then on the Thursday before release day. So I'm going to go to the Thursday one because that's their usual time for doing. Instead of doing Friday Night Magic, they do Thursday Night Magic. Don't ask me why. Probably because it was part of a franchise that had other stores that did it on events on Friday, so you could go to both if you wanted to. Maybe. I don't know. But regardless, the game store I go to does their events on Thursday, so I'm going to go pre-release for it this coming Thursday for Edge of Eternities. But I don't know. Something about the aesthetic of the set isn't quite landing right with me. I like that it's cohesive. Right, unlike Thunder Junction or some people complain about murders at Karlov Manor. Karlov, not Markov. It's very easy to confuse those two. At Karlov Manor being too like hatsy, but Ether Drift was the other one. That's the one I'm thinking of. But I don't know why. Probably because I'm a sucker for morph type mechanics and stuff. But I really liked Murders at Karlov Manor, but I don't think it was as egregious as Thunder Junction or Ether Drift for feeling like just a mishmash creatively. So I like that that Edge of Eternities feels more cohesive that way. But something about it just doesn't land quite right. It's like the sort of sci-fi that Mirrodin works for me, but the sort of sci-fi that Edge of Eternities is a little bit of a stretch too far for Magic for my tastes personally. But I know there's people who are hyped about it, so. I mean, it's the same sort of thing where like the modern vibes that Spider-Man bring don't work very well for me in the world of Magic, though those basic lands look really cool, and I'm excited about Mayhem because I like Madness, and Mayhem's kind of a Madness variant that like that fixes some of the things that makes Madness maybe harder to balance, because Madness lets you cheat on timing. Mayhem doesn't. But Self-Reflection might actually be something that might fit into a Mayhem deck. Regardless. Excuse me. That throat irritation, which is something that kind of discourages me from streaming a little bit. But anyway, but yeah, something about like because I felt it with Duskmourn also. Like some parts of Duskmourn worked and other parts were just like too real world for me aesthetically. And there's something about the sci-fi aesthetic of Edge of Eternities that doesn't fit for me with Magic. And I think part of it is a scale issue. It's like, I don't know, it's hard to describe exactly, but something about an entire planet versus a plane being treated equivalently, things like that just doesn't click for me. So maybe some of it too is that at one point in time I was kind of brainstorming is a little too weak of a word, but I was kind of thinking through and like putting together specifically a sci-fi TCG. Never gave it a name or anything. Came up with a lot of the structure for it, but not really like enough mechanically for the like nitty gritty. I just didn't get to that stage. But like the overall structure of it, I came up with, and it just fit the concept of sci-fi so much better than Magic could ever do because it was built from the ground up to be sci-fi. And like conceptually, like what does a sci-fi 4X game feel like as a card game? And like I started at the spot of like Magic, but then I'm like, okay, but how does this actually work? And then I drifted from there dramatically. So when I look at what Magic does, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't feel quite right to me. And some of that might just be, you know, the stuff that I did design-wise on that game that I just never went anywhere with. Maybe I should go over that at some point in time, see if somebody wants to take up the mantle of it. It could be interesting. The good luck finding enough print run space to be able to make a big card game these days. So it's something that Magic and Lorcana and Pokemon are all struggling with. For all I know, the One Piece card game is struggling with it too. That one's popular at my local game store. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing how Edge of Eternities actually plays. And As far as the Spider-Man set, web slinging feels like really weird flavor. I was talking about this with somebody at my local game store, and they were saying that maybe it's the idea that you're using the web to pull somebody back and fling yourself forward. Kinda, I could see that, but it still just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. This weird ninjutsu variant. But Mayhem, like I said, it appeals to me. As a madness variant, just mechanically. There's 2 freaking mini legends of like the exact same name with a different, is it epithet? The little thing after the comma. I think it's epithet. I always need to make sure I'm not confusing with epitaph, which I think is the thing on a gravestone. Though there is a gravestone. That's neither here nor there, though. But it's just like Spider-Man, comma, epithet. Spider-Man, comma, epithet. And it's like, all of these are like the same freaking character, and it's the Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man meme, but like on steroids and in your Magic game, and which Spider-Man is which, and it's just, I think it's going to be confusing. I sincerely think it will be somewhat confusing. But like, my goodness, people are complaining about like Legends and Universes Beyond products being like out the yin yang, just so freaking many of them. And I feel that like intensely, like Final Fantasy had a freaking ton of legendary creatures, but it feels way worse to me when it's like this character iteration 1342, and it's like permeating the common slot aggressively, and it's just like we've seen so few cards of the full set so far, so it probably won't be as bad as it feels right now, but it just feels like way too many. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see where Magic goes. We'll see how Spider-Man does. I like it mechanically so far from what we've seen. I think in terms of, I like Mayhem and stuff, and because of my love of So I'm a Spider, So What, I kind of really like the web basics. But you know, there's and the city basics actually look really good too, but we'll see how things go. Anyway, that's probably enough of me rambling about that random thing. One other random Magic thing is, due to the inability to acquire a Final Fantasy product and also run drafts at a reasonable price point, we ended up doing a vote on what set to draft. And because my LGS had enough of it lying around, we did a Brothers War draft, which was a set that I missed that I was like kind of excited about, because Urza is not a good person, but that era of lore is interesting to me. And so it was really cool to be able to do a Brothers War draft, and I quite enjoyed being able to do that. So that was neat. Okay, I'm going to go wrap up now. Thank you all very much for watching. It's been a good month. Been a busy month. A lot of stuff going on. I fixed my sleep schedule at the start of it. Things have been going okay since then. So anyway, until next time, everyone, try to stay cool if it is the hot season for you. If you're in the southern hemisphere, I guess you don't need help with that, probably. Maybe. I don't know what your weather's like. Still weirds me out thinking of Halloween as being a spring holiday and Christmas as being a summer holiday, but you probably feel it less weird just because if you go to all of our media. If you are in the southern hemisphere, thank you very much for watching, and if you're in the northern hemisphere, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, everyone, take care and goodbye.